welcome today to this great moment, this great ceremony, this great celebration. Let me say, first of all, welcome to the graduates who are seated in these two spaces of the Hub Ballroom here. To the undergraduates, to the Masters of Arts students, to the Masters of Communication students, to the Doctors of Philosophy, why don't you go ahead and stand if you're able, and we'll give you a round of applause to start us off, okay? A little note to all of the students, the tassel, right here, the tassel is worn on the right before graduation, and then moved to the left after graduation. So it's on the right side right now. We will have a moment at the end of the ceremony where we'll jointly move it to the left at the end. So right now on the right. There's a lot of other people here today who are not students at this moment, who are not the graduates of the day. I want to take a moment just to say something to all of you and then ask the students here to express your appreciation to them. Parents, grandparents, cousins, brothers, sisters, spouses, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, people who are just stopping by today because something's going on at the Hub, all right? I want to say to you that thank you for coming today. This is as much your moment as it is for the people right here, the students. It's a great achievement for your special person, for your son or daughter, your brother or sister, your friend, and so on. It's a great achievement for that individual, but it so too is a great moment for you. We know that all of you who are here, and it's not your graduation day, you're here in support of someone that's graduating, we know that you have always been there in the wings for these individuals. You've been worrying about them. You've been writing checks, a lot of checks. You've been providing advice that might get listened to starting about tomorrow, okay? You've been giving them nudges and pushes. You've been cleaning their dishes in their rooms and helping them to do their laundry. You've bought them a lot of energy drinks. You've helped to pick them up when they've stumbled. And everybody here has stumbled. Everybody up here, everybody out here has stumbled, and you've helped to pick them up. If you're here today in support of a graduating student, and if you are able to stand, I'd ask that you do so, and I'd ask that all of the graduates would give them a loud round of applause, okay? Well, this is a landmark day for everyone here, especially for our graduates, but for all of those that have been hoping and supporting towards this moment. I want to just say a few things to start us off, to start our ceremony off. In the 1970s, a psychologist by the name of Scott Peck, M. Scott Peck, wrote a book. This book was titled The Road Less Traveled. It was a massive, monumental bestseller. His focus was on how people build healthy, successful, and fulfilling lives. I'm the youngest of 5 kids in my family, and so my older siblings had read this book and put it on a bookshelf. And so as I grew older, I picked it off the bookshelf and read it myself. Peck's argument, in a nutshell, is that people who are healthy, physically, psychologically healthy, who are successful, and who are fulfilled, have learned how to engage in everyday acts of courage. This is his language. Everyday acts of courage. Now, when we think of courage in our culture, we think of physical acts of courage. We think of people who've displayed incredible bravery in very difficult circumstances, such as U.S. military troops who stand in harm's way for this nation and for others. All of us in countless ways think that just 70 years ago, as of this last Friday, it was on the beaches of Normandy that people fought and died for the freedoms and the privileges for us to be here today. That's incredible courage. And for all of you today that are veterans, we thank you. When we think of physical courage, we think of the thousands of people who 60 years ago today flooded into the state of Mississippi in what was known as Freedom Summer to help people to gain the civil rights they were guaranteed under the Constitution, to gain the right to vote. Some of them died so that we would have this privilege today, to be here, to get our degrees. That's what we think of when we think about courage. Or we think of a student a few miles away who stood up and acted and said, no more violence on our campus. That's an act of courage. Those are profound acts of courage. Peck's argument is that that is true courage, yes, and there is a second other kind of courage that is essential to a fulfilled life. These everyday acts of courage. Peck's point is this, that there are day by day, moment by moment acts of profound bravery, such as when we choose compassion over indifference when bad things happen to other people that we don't know. Or when we decide that we won't laugh when someone tells a sexist joke and we just say, that isn't funny. Or when we're willing to acknowledge that we're wrong on something important and we have to say, you know what? I got to learn here. These don't get media attention, but they change the world in real and better ways. One of these unrecognized but very real acts of courage is to make the commitment to go to and then to complete a college degree. That may not feel like an act of courage. That's Peck's point. Today in the United States, among people 25 or older, just over 1/4 of them, 25%, have completed a bachelor's degree. 1 out of 4 in the United States have completed a BA degree. In the state of Washington, it's about 30%. 1 out of roughly every 3 adults has a bachelor's degree. The percentage of Americans who've completed a graduate degree, a master's or an MD or a law degree or a PhD, is even less. It's 10%. 1 out of every 10. There are all kinds of reasons, economic and political and cultural and legal and otherwise, that people don't attend or complete college. But we want you, the graduates today, whatever your degree, to know that what you've done over the last several years and what we celebrate today and what you feel is just quote unquote normal is not. It is not normal in the world or in the United States even. It is a courageous move. You had to make decisions and choices and make money and steward that money and attend classes that you loved and also do all kinds of work and grow and pick yourself up. These are everyday acts of courage. Whether you're receiving a bachelor's of art, a master of arts, a master of communication, or a doctor of philosophy, you have done something that distinguishes you. Don't just act like it's no big deal. It's not. It's not no big deal. See, parents, this is the kind of thing we teach them here, right here, okay? It is a big deal. It's an everyday act of courage, and I know that for you, it feels like a kind of big deal, but for all of us who are citizens, you have just made us a better society. You've just made us a better place. And so your everyday acts of courage don't just have implications for you as individuals, it has implications for us. So I say to you, all of you, thank you and congratulations. Okay? Each year, we have a distinguished alumnus of the Department of Communication. We ask this person to speak at our graduating celebration. Not long ago, the person who is our distinguished alumnus for this year was a student, like all of our graduates today. She worked hard, she pursued professional connections, she got to know some faculty, took many classes, she bonded with some fellow students, probably got frustrated with others, went through all of the ups and downs that you go through in a college degree. When she speaks in a moment, I challenge all of our students to listen to her and to say, I want to be someone like her. I'll make my own way, but I want to be someone like her. When we select a distinguished alumnus, we choose people who have accomplished great things and also done good things, very good things. To be highly successful in one's professional area is important to us as faculty. We want our students to be highly successful, but we also want our students to be quality individuals who make a difference in all kinds of everyday ways. Our 2014 distinguished alumnus, Jody Deering Nyquist, is such a person. Jody is a pillar of the Seattle and Northwest community, and she is also a great friend of the University of Washington and especially of the Department of Communication. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about her. Jody Deering Nyquist is Associate Dean Emerita of the UW Graduate School and an Emerita member of the graduate faculty of the University of Washington Department of Communication. So she was a faculty member in the past and continues to be an emeritus faculty person. Both of her undergraduate and graduate work were completed at the University of Washington here, where she then joined the faculty and has been a faculty member since 1969 in the Department of Speech Communication originally, and now in the Department of Communication. Jody taught undergraduate and graduate courses in interpersonal communication, courses you've taken, instructional communication, in interviewing, in small group dynamics, in public speaking, and on media. She's published more than 70 articles and book chapters, edited 6 books, co-authored a very important study about the future of the PhD as a degree. In 2002, Jody received the award known as the Samuel L. Becker Award, which is the highest honor given for scholarship, for research, teaching, and service by one of our largest national communication bodies, actually the National Communication Association. Jody served on boards for over 50 universities, organizations, schools, and nonprofit agencies. She's lectured at over 20 universities all over the world. And in 2005, Jody was inducted into the inaugural class of the Department of Communications Alumni Hall of Fame. And this year, she was selected by a group of faculty and staff and alumni as the department's distinguished alumna of 2014. I first met Jody about 15 years ago when I had the privilege to join the faculty here. I actually first heard of Jody before I met her, as I went through an orientation to the university and several colleagues said, oh, you're going to be in the Department of Communication, or you're going to be you're going to be in the Department of Communication, and there's a colleague there that you need to get to know, Jody Nyquist. She'll help you to become a really good teacher. Well, how to teach is something that's really important to us in the Department of Communication, and Jody was a big part of cementing that focus. Over time, she became a mentor and a friend, and she continues to support our students, to meet with them, to build opportunities for them. At her core, Jody Deering Nyquist cares about people, especially students. She's one of 2 people who have been central in our creation of what we call career exploration trips, in which students apply to spend 2 days in Los Angeles or New York City, meeting with alumni and learning firsthand about career or professional opportunities. Jody is always thinking of ways to give people opportunities. And she's both a catalyst and a finisher. Today, Jody Deering Nyquist is our 2014 Distinguished Alumnus for the Department of Communication, and we've asked her to address our graduating class. So please help me in welcoming Jody.
My goodness, what to say after that? Thank you very much for a gracious introduction. I hardly recognize myself, but I certainly enjoyed hearing all those lovely things. But today is about you, class of 2014. Just look at you, ready to throw your hats in the air and get the heck out of here to celebrate. But I get to go first. Look at yourselves again. You who are in a few minutes going to join or become alumni of the Department of Communication of the University of Washington. How does it sound? You can really be proud to wear that title. Governor Christine Gregoire, Mayor Norm Rice, acclaimed sculptor Tony Angel, President McIntyre of Central Washington University, Lori Matsukawa, King 5 News, Mickey Flowers of Cairo, Karen Bryant, CEO of the Seattle Storm, all have that title, and many other outstanding alums. You, my friends, will become reporters and producers, entrepreneurs and screenwriters, sales managers, professors, politicians, event planners, authors, because we know that. Those of you who are in the career exploration program that Professor Domke just talked about and have gone to LA, New York, and Seattle, you've discovered that our alums hold those positions. And as the years go by, some of you will be inducted into the department's Hall of Fame. And some of you will be up here standing where I stand today. As I look at you, I firmly believe that each person sitting here waiting for his or her diploma is brilliant. To choose this major was and is a brilliant move on your part. I believe it to be the degree of the 21st century. And after today, you will hold it. So how did you make such a brilliant decision? How did you get here? I bet your parents told you to major in communication, right? Right, parents? Some of them are still trying to figure out what it is. I understand that. Maybe a roommate or a friend of Professor Domke's had a class from one of the gifted professors in this department and encouraged you to take a communication course. Or perhaps you had seen and still see the word communication everywhere you turn and saw the study of communication as the future. Any of these reasons may be why you are here today. But I believe that somewhere inside you, you had a genuine curiosity about how people make meaning between each other, whether it be in a one-to-one situation, a one-to-many situation like now, or through mediated communications of the digital age via so many technologies that we are all overwhelmed, even the young. Whether or not you were aware of it in the beginning, I believe that this curiosity led you to study interpersonal and relational communication, argument, debate, how to think critically in your communication interactions, how to think globally about the effect of communication on culture, the impact of journalism and digital media on the 21st century communications revolution. And pursuing this curiosity will lead to great satisfaction in both your career aspirations and individual relationships. I can attest to that personally. My journey began like you, sitting in a chair with a cap and gown on in Heck Edmondson, or rather the Alaska Airlines Arena, because we didn't have departmental graduations like we do today. I then taught English and communication courses at Shorecrest High School. Any Shorecrest High School people here? No? What happened to my communication courses? Then back to graduate school, where I became an academician and joined the department, faculty, and eventually became Associate Dean of the Graduate School, as David referred to. My communication degrees prepared me for all of that. First, they prepared me to work with students like you. I loved seeing your minds operate, your energy, your challenging questions. I got to do what academicians do: teach, conduct research, and serve this community and others, but my degrees allowed me to do so much more. I got to fly first class to Saudi Arabia 3 times, invited by the king, of course. Actually, because that was the only way you could get into the country at that time, was to be invited by the king. To teach workshops for the women at King Abdulaziz University in Jeddah. I got to present in Lebanon and Syria, a part of the world that is really in great trouble at this time. As you heard, in 1993, I served as a senior Fulbright scholar in New Zealand for 6 months and lectured at all 7 of their universities about communication programs, and also in Australia. Due to my study and research on the role of communication in service industries, I became a consultant in the summer, was put on retainers by United Airlines, Westin Hotels, Holiday Inns, Meridian Healthcare, and many other smaller companies. All service industries are communication dependent, and I got to apply my understandings and then bring the results back to the classroom here. Later, I was asked to come to Japan 3 different times, and in 2008, I spent 3 months at the University of Nagoya in Nagoya, Japan, working with their graduate programs. I would have never imagined such opportunities when I was sitting where you are. But my degrees in communication allowed me many overseas experiences. I don't have time to tell you anymore, but they were all transformative, just as I imagine your trips with faculty to Argentina, Italy, Barbados, and Switzerland must be for you today. And back home, the Pew Charitable Trust funded several large grants so that, again, I visited, collected data, and spoke at universities and institutions all over the country. So lucky I have been, and privileged to share our discipline with others, to use our understandings to solve very challenging problems within and outside the academy, and to experience how many pathways the study of communication can take. I'm so grateful for my career, my dream job, but as you can probably see, it was not like it was a planned route. Opportunities just kept appearing, as I'm sure they will for each of you. But I am grateful also for the study of what the study of communication taught me about relationships. Even though none of us ever exhibits all we know about communication in our relationships, we realize that the way that we communicate with each other does matter, and that we can always improve. My understanding of the Communication Act has and continues to enhance my relationships with my partner Paul, my son Gwyn, and his wife Christy, my grandchildren Michael, Tyler, and Olivia, my wonderful friends, students, and work associates. I have so many meaningful relationships that I love and honor, and very few that have not been good. I am very aware of how my knowledge of communication has made that possible, contributed to that outcome. As is obvious, I could go on, but I need to complete this graduation speech. As you might imagine, I've been reading graduation speeches lately, and I have learned that I'm not only to congratulate you on what you have done and share my own experiences, I am also to provide some words of wisdom for the future. A future yet unknown as I see it, working in professions in communication yet to be developed that I cannot even imagine. How to do that? Well, I thought maybe I could share the wisdom of others. So here goes. Admiral William McRaven, 9th Commander of U.S. Special Operations Command, speaking at the University of Texas, Austin 3 weeks ago, suggested that if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another. By the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that little things do matter. If you can't do the little things right, you will never do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. He learned that as a Navy SEAL. Maya Angelou, a remarkable poet, philosopher, artist we all mourned her passing 2 weeks ago, reminded us often that success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Winston Churchill's speech at Eton College supposedly consisted of only 3 words: never give up. After which he sat down. When the stunned president asked him if he would like to elaborate, he rose once again, went to the microphone, and said, "Never, never give up," and sat down. According to the voice of Generation Y, I'm supposed to tell you the 7 harsh truths about graduation. You're not going to land the job of your dreams right out of college. You don't get a summer vacation. Being able to support yourself will be difficult and stressful. You're always being graded, you just don't get a report card. You're going to have to work for idiots. I don't know about that one. Life only gets more complicated and more difficult after college. Graduating doesn't mean you have things figured out. But I say, because you have learned what civil dialogue, honorable debate, collaborative problem solving, teamwork, the power of mediated communication and digital technology, and the importance of clear communication in your relationships, because you know what they can do, you will succeed. These are your tools, and they will allow you bright futures, whatever your pathways. This is a wonderful discipline, a wonderful department with wonderful students and wonderful alums. And just think, wherever you do after this, wherever you go, this department will be interested and will keep in touch with you. Go forth, pick yourself up after every rejection, and unfortunately, many of you have already had to do this given our current job market. Push back on policies with which you do not agree. Try again when things do not work out. Hold on to your values. Never give up. So to the parents, here are your brilliant children who chose the most important major of the 21st century. I am so honored to be associated with you, class of 2014. Congratulations to each one of you.
Thanks. I know it says remarks in the program. You think the digital media guy is going up with an iPad, this could get long, but I'm only using it for the clock app. I'm only going to speak for 3 minutes, I promise. So I'm going to start it right now. So I really loved Jody Nyquist's remarks, and the thing that really stuck with me is that communication is very much the degree of the 21st century. I feel that in my heart, and definitely in the program that I lead, which is in digital media and communities and networks, we have that focus. And so even though the program has existed since 2002, every year that I come up here, there's always something new. This is definitely a program of firsts. And our program is definitely recognized around the world as a class-leading thing. But this year, if you look in your program under the Master of Communication Digital Media, there's an asterisk, and that's our first this year. In that, in the last 12 months, we launched a second degree under the Communication Leadership Program, a master's in communities and networks. And so this is just a recognition that we are this is a historic time of change. The pace of changes we've all experienced is just getting faster and faster. You see it in our cell phones and the technology that we have and soon will wear. And so the folks who are coming through our program are studying that impact, looking at it critically, thinking about how to deal with it strategically, and definitely will be leading the way, hence the fact that we are called the Communication Leadership Program. So just last night and yesterday, I was in San Francisco in the Bay Area visiting Facebook headquarters with one of our graduates who works there, and you think that the future is coming out of San Francisco. And in terms of technology, that may indeed be the case. But here out of Seattle and the University of Washington, we think a little differently. We think about relationship, we think about community, we think about the consequences of this. And so even as we see the optimism coming out of San Francisco, I'm so thrilled and honored to represent the program of these wonderful graduates you'll see in a few seconds, who will think a little bit more critically about what this means and how they're going to present in the organizations that they work in as they move into that world. And so as we look at communication in the 21st century, we think that to be a great leader in the 21st century, you have to be a great communicator. And the folks who will be coming across the stage are indeed great communicators. And my call to action to you, graduates of our fabulous program, is that as this technology becomes even more pervasive, that you become agents of translation within the organizations you're working in and agents of transformation. Because if this is indeed communication being the heart of the 21st century, you will lead that change. And I hope you will do it with integrity and with great vision. So with that, I'd like to call upon my colleagues Anita Verna Crofts and Scott Macklin to call out the names and hand out the degrees to those who are graduating from the Communication Leadership Program with degrees in digital media and degrees in communities and networks. And I had 20 seconds left on the timer.
My job is to speak a little bit about the undergraduate major here at the University of Washington in communication. And there's a lot I would like to talk about. I was an undergrad comm major, not at this university, but at another one, and it had such a profound impact on my life. It changed how I spoke, how I thought, and who I was. I think for the better. So I really believe so deeply in the study of communication. Nevertheless, I'll try to be brief, as much as I can. So although we've been talking about how communication is a study of the 21st century, I totally believe that. We've actually had a pretty good claim on previous centuries as well. And a place I'd like to start is there was a book by historian Kenneth Camille, and he studied the development of American speech. And one of the things that was interesting to him, and he wrote about, was how there were clashes over class as sort of lower middle class people started to speak more like elites. Because for a long time, how you spoke was a mark of breeding. How you communicated was an indicator of your social status, of your class, of your wealth. And so the anecdote I really like in this book is he tells the story of this woman, this well-to-do, wealthy woman who had written an editorial, had written a letter to the editor because she was angry. And in the letter to the editor, she retails this account. So she says, well, I was speaking with this young man, and he was eloquent, and he was elegant, and just wonderful. And then I learned he was born poor. How dare he, she said, mimic that which we do. But what had happened was that he was studying communication. He was looking at how communication shapes thought and affects how people interpret you. She was outraged by this because that barrier to class was being taken down. And the study of communication has changed a lot. I saw people walking by with cameras on the road. So that's changed a lot since that time. But there's a couple of core traits that remain. So the mission, the educational mission of the Department of Communication is to prepare students for the challenges of a society that is informed, that is entertained, persuaded, and shaped by communication. That's kind of what you've done during your time here. You've developed the intellectual skills to analyze communication, not just perform well, which you've also worked on, but the ability to crack open successful communication as well as unsuccessful communication and see how it's operating. And that twin ability to not only communicate your thoughts well, but to be able to analyze what's going on when it works and when it doesn't work is a rare gift. I now work with a lot of adult learners, people who are at the end of their career rather than at their beginning. And when I work with them, this is the one thing I work with them on: analyzing communication skills and being able to perform them well. At the end of their career, they now recognize how important that is. You are very fortunate in that you got it figured out all at age 22 or how old you are, okay? So congratulations to you as you move forward into the next stage of your career, of your life, and of your lifelong learning. So congratulations.